Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all well. Right, we're going to look at some. Well, we were going to look at some second-hand half stuff, but there's not a lot happening. I'll be honest. Two games, but I'm going to go through it in a minute. I'm just going to set a sheet up, but we're going to follow these Norway games to half time, and then we'll go from there. And we might take in the Hacken and Deer Gardens game that I've just kicked off. But one of these things, planning advance, particularly when you've only got 7 or 8 fixtures, is there aren't many games with great numbers today. Right, so I'm just going to close that. I'm just going to pop into. So I'm just opening a couple of sheets, guys, and I will be with you. I'm just keeping an eye. I could really like to see a goal at Vålerenga or Bodo. Been in the sun? Not really. Done a bit of gardening I'm not out in the sun. I've just been doing a bit of gardening, helping Sammy with the garden. But it's been hot, hasn't it? The last couple of days. It has been hot. I tend to red up quite quickly. But no, I've not been lounging in the sun. I'll just set this up and then I'll be with you. Where have I put that? Hang on a second, guys. I'll put it next to Match XG. Insert equals that minus okay. Right, now I've got so let's just check. Equals that minus that. I'll be with you 2 ticks, team. And then I want that sheet. I'm just going to show you I'm just doing it with some formulas, and then I'm going to talk you right through it while we wait and see where these games get to at half time. Right, let's say some hellos. Hello, Dylan. Hello, Ken, Lee, Carl, Steve, Mr. Richmond. Lovely to see you. John Huggett, John B, Neil Cave. Expected nice and sunny out in Guernsey. Derek, lovely to see you. Neil Claxton, Alan Campbell, Nitesh, nice to see you. Tommy Nolan, Brian Brewis, Andrew Stead, Paul Morris, Tim Clark, lovely to see you up the top. Who we got? Jamie Paolo, Jamie, CG, Hot, Send Rain, it is warm, isn't it? Pat Harvey, John, Jim, Visualite, Ian, Darren, Malcolm, Raymond, Jason, John, Andrew. Lots of you tonight, Michael, Martinez, Shane, Chris, Alan, back to Ken, lovely. Right, as always, if you've got any questions, let me know. Hey up, Penfolds, you are cheeky bastards. Right, what I'm going to do first, before we're going to have to wait and see what these games are like at half time. I really would have done, could have done with a goal at Vålerenga, but we're looking a little bit limp. I'll just check this Djur Gardens and Hacken, but I can talk you through it anyway. We'll just have to pretend. It would just be nice if one of them had a goal and we can look. We'll check 0-0. I personally don't play games that are 0-0 at half time. And they're the two that stand out, and I'll tell you why they stand out for me in the second half right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my sheet, which I stress every time. It's got exactly the same data on and numbers on as you have on the FTS Advanced sheet. So it's not anything that you can do or have. I just have it in a format that enables me to highlight things quickly and analyze it quickly, particularly on busy days. So I'm just going to put the screen share on for you there. I just thought these numbers would be a bit better today. So you should now be able to see that. Let me make it a bit bigger. And here we go. So usual format, it's got today's fixtures on. Blue is games where over 2.5 goals is odds on. Orange is where they've got a good first half XG based on the season model. Yellow is a good match XG based on the 6-game model. And green is good match XG, 2.76. When I say good match XG, 2.76 and above. So a lot of this, I repeat myself, football averages 2.71 goals per game worldwide. I set mine to tell me anything 2.76 and above. So yellow is on the 6-game model. Green is on the season model. And you can see we've got 3 games here that have got yellow and green that are all right. I'm back, hopefully. Don't know what went on there. And microphone, whether we've got that. There, can you hear me, guys? Can you all hear me? Sorry, just turned there. I'm back. Just check whether I'm back. I don't know what went on there. I think I'm back. The whole thing just collapsed on me then. It was better when we couldn't hear you. Very nice, thank you. Right, so I don't know what point I got cut off then, because I was watching the screen when that all went pear-shaped. But basically, yellow is the 6-game model where it's telling us it's got greater than 2.76 goals. Green is the season model, and the sign color is home favorites. So all that does is enable me very quickly to see the game. So we've got 3 games there today now playing at 4 o'clock, where we have got 2.76 or more goals predicted on both models: Bodo Glimt and HamCam, Sarpsborg Viking, Vålerenga, Strømgodset. As it happens, Bodo Glimt's 0-0 and Vålerenga is 0-0. Sarpsborg is currently 0-1 there. So we can have a look at that. The 0-0 thing is my own personal, so we will run them even if they're 0-0 at half time. So I've just got all exactly the same data, but what you won't have on yours is, if I move over to these 2 columns, is basically what I want to break out. We've got a 45-minute match XG, and we've got a 90-minute match XG. So we've got the model that calculates those numbers is the same, but it calculates 1 over how the teams get on in the first half, and then it calculates how we get on in the second half. And what I have on my sheets is basically one taken from the other. So we've got a total match XG. Let's just say it's 3. What I want to look at is how is that broken down? Is it favouring first half or is it favouring second half? Good day, all like it. Sugsy's Ange Postecoglou all in already. He's come in saying good day. Good day. We'll be doing a lot of that next year, Sugsy. So on your FTS Advanced sheet, which is now the version that you can download from the website, is exactly the same numbers. So these numbers aren't any different, but you have your first half total XG. So in the 6-game model, it's in column AE on the match day sheet, and you have your match XG, which is in column AI. So we've got a match XG in Nagoya this game this morning, match XG of 2.83 goals. How does that break down? Well, 1.6 of it is first half. So these teams have generated on the model 1.66 games, and the match XG is 2.83. So all I've got here now is I've added a column. I'm going to do it exactly with you. So what I will do, I'm going to delete that column. I'm going to show you how quickly you can do it. So all I do now, in next to the match XG, I just right click and click insert. And in there, all I want to do is find out the difference between the match XG and the first half XG. And that's just simply equals the match XG minus our first half XG, which is there. So AI3 minus AE3. I just saw a goal gone in. I just checked it. And then for those of you in Excel, if you get the black cross and click it, it drags that all the way down. And all I can do now is just say, right, I want to highlight in that. So all we can do is we want to go number filters greater than 2. So I want to look at games as an example that produce a a second half XG in effect. So I've taken the first half out of it. I've taken my match XG. I've mined the first half. Show me games where in effect I've got a preference for goals second half greater than 2, and I can just mark those yellow and clear. And I've got 5 or 6 games there to look at, and you will see that one is Vålerenga and one is Bodo Glimt. That's why I was keen to find goals in those games, because I like trading games that have had goals. I can then do exactly the same with the season model. So I just go exactly the same, and I've done that for you earlier. So I can just insert that. I can go number filters greater than 2 and highlight that. And I'll just make them green. And we've got 4 games there that have got more than 2 goals difference between what's happens in the first half and the second half, one of them again being Bodo Glimt. So now if I want to trade second half goals for me without using the in-play tool, just trading second half goals, I can just go to those columns. I'll go to the yellow one first because we had a few more. Go to my 6-game column I've just created and go, right, I'm going to just filter on the colour. And now all I'm interested in are these 6 games for today to trade at half time. Unfortunately, 2 of them have been played, 2 of them are later today, and we do have 2 in Norway at 4 o'clock, and they are both on 43 minutes, and they are both 0-0. But as I say, I will run 0-0. We'll have a look. I'll make as I said at the start of these, I will run scenarios that I wouldn't normally do, just so I can show you how things work. So I'm going to go back to my sheet here, because I will be able to run that. You can see that exactly the same numbers, 5.4. So I've not done anything different. I've just created it. So are you all clear on how I've created this number, how I've got to this second number? I've taken the match XG and the 45-minute XG, and I've just basically separated one from the other. So in effect, if that's our 45-minute XG, then we've got a second half XG based on that model, as both the 2 models are the same. I've taken the first half part out to give me a second half XG. All clear? Good. Crystal. I like that. Crystal. Sound like sort of something out of Lock, Stock. Crystal. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these get to half time, and then I will show you to run them. And what I'm going to run is I'm going to run them on my filter. You can just filter these as normal. As I say, it's something we will look at in the summer. I know we're in the summer, but now that the European League's finished this week, of maybe adding to the in-play that we can run this. I've got a meeting with Chris coming up, so we'll have a look. I'll run it, but you can literally do it just by filtering. You could literally get the data sheet and filter it. So I'll just stop the share. I will open up the data sheet while we're here. So just while we wait for half time. 2-2 Stuybeck Rauschenberg. Let's just open the advanced data sheet while I'm here. Feel free to ask any questions. Advanced result sheet there. Just going to fizz 2. I'll just let these games, they're just coming up 45 plus now. Just let them get to half time. this all up for you. Don't need any of that. Let's get the over 2.5s. Hide, and let's go. Score data. I'm just setting the sheet up and hiding some columns. I'll talk you through it in a minute so that we've got, there we go. Oh, the goal's been chalked off at. Rosenberg. Why have I just saved that? Right, Valerenga 0-0, Bodo Glimt 0-0, so we'll have a look at 0-0. Would have been nice if we had a couple of different score lines, but can he do out about that? What is going on with this? Two ticks. Right, let's just bring a screen back. Right, share the screen. That one, I'm back. I'm back. Make it bigger. Right, so this is the advanced results sheet. So it's exactly the same as the one you download off the website, and we've got the 6-game model here. So in effect, you can do it here. You could just insert a column and save a database. So I've actually just done that while I was keeping you hanging there. So you can see I've saved a version here and I've just called it IE. So if you just click File, Save As, and I've just saved it IE, you could say it as half time. All I've actually done here now is I've inserted, so on my advanced results sheet, all I've done is insert a column, and I've done our, I've hidden the wrong column, sorry, my fault. There, let's unhide all that, saying that. Get to me thing where I did it. So all I've done is save it there. So I've just saved a column there, inserted it. I'm going to go to the 6-game and I'll show you how to do it there. I hide that there, and I'm just going to insert one so that we got a column. And all I do in there now is I can put equals, and I want the match XG minus the first half XG. Put that in, get the black cross on it and get it to copy all the way down. And all I've done now is create a database there of these numbers. So I've just added one column to my database. All you'd have to do then each day is paste the results in, but you just would have to paste them in 2 parts, paste up to column AI and then paste onwards, and you'd be able to add them in. I'm just hiding columns to make it simpler to show you on screen, but it literally would take you a minute a day maximum. Hide all that. So I've got these numbers here now, and all I can do is put a bit of conditional formatting. So for those of you who don't know how to do that, I've selected the whole row, conditional format, highlight cell rules, anything greater than 2. and you can just go to the custom format and make it whatever you like. So I'm going to make that yellow again and click OK. And every goal now, every match that has price on XG greater than 2 in the 6-game model is highlighted there in yellow. So you can see how they get on. We've got all our second half goal matches and things here, but we can literally go and go, I want to filter, I only want to look at games that are yellow. So I'm filtering everything greater than 2 on that new calculation I've put in. It's that simple formula. I only want matches where over 2.5 is odds on. If that's what suits you, you may want to play around and go more, but I'm going to go less than or equal. No, I'm not. I'm going to go between. And the reason I'm going to go between is because some games we don't have odds, and you'll see there's zeros in. So if you include them, they'll get included. But there are the odd game when Betfair's down and things. So I'm going to go between 101 and 1.99, and then it won't include those zeros. So just go between 101 and 1.99. And now I'm starting to, I'm only down to 3,500 games in the database. And I've got the same database you've got there that has got an XG where I pulled out the second half from the first half, greater than 2 on the 6-game model, and where it was odds on over 2.5. And then you can just click through the scores. So you could do that and go 0-0. How does it get on if I've got that? 0-0, loses 94 points. Oh, wrong column, half-time score. How does 2-0 get on, for example? There. And you can see games where it's 2-0, it wins 5 points. You could play around with leagues. You could play around with ways to trade that then. Let's just do one more, and then I'll go to my sheet again. 0-2, click that, click OK. 0-2 loses 25 points but wins on the 2 ahead. So you can just make yourself a little second half database that you can play around with. But I am going to flick back to my sheet because it does it all much quicker. But that's exactly the same filtering as you would do. But I've got a dashboard that will do it for me. So I've got that there. I've got less than equal 1.99. I think both these teams, I'm just going to check. I think both these teams were odds on today. Bodo Glimt at home, what were they? Oh, Bodo Glimt was short Vålerenga. So I'm going to put home team odds on as well for this. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So I've got over 2.5. I'm going to go for home teams less than equal 1.99. I'm going to clear. We've got our match XGs 2.76. I'm just going to clear those. Don't want those, so right click clear contents if ever you want to clear Excel cells. And this is the figure, so I'm looking at the full time at minus the half time, and I want a minimum of 2, so greater or equal 2. And the score in these games is 0-0. So I've got a little column here that enables me to put the score in as text, just put a little apostrophe in and then 0-0. So basically what I'm going to ask this to do now is go and look at all my data and go where the home team's odds on, where the away team's odds on, home team's odds on, over 2.5 is odds on, where we've got that figure I've just created. So that second half goal figure based on the 6-game model, greater than equal 2, as these 2 games are, and it is 0-0 at half time. What happens, as I say, nothing that you cannot do filtering manually. I've got to transfer them and then run, and all this does, it gives me all the leagues at once, as opposed to this. What we will do, we'll have a look at a couple of others that have played. We'll have a look at that Sarpsborg game. Stuybeck, you won't have many games that are 2-1. I think when you're looking at half-time scores and things, obviously the more goals in the first half, the smaller your sample sizes, because obviously a lot of games get to half-time 0-0, 1-0, 0-1, as opposed to 2-1, 2-2. So these 2 games are in Norway, so I can just highlight that row, which is there. And it basically tells me that when we've had that scenario in Norway, there's been 34 bets, only so 34 times we've got to this scenario when there's been goals, when it's been 0-0. That's right, you're not going to have a ton of games, because obviously when the home team's odds on, over 2.5 is odds on, a lot of those games can have first half goals. Obviously these 2 haven't. So there's only been 34 games that have made that. They have won 12.4 points laying second half goals. So at 0.36 a bet. So it's a good return per bet for the ones that have. And I'm just going to have a look at, oh, gone a bit too far, sorry. Just want to do it with my cursor. I just want to see. And backing over 1.5 price is 1.89. I would almost certainly imagine that it's lower than that at Bodo Glimt. And this is where you can get into laying. Laying over 3.5 is, let's just get on that cell. 34 games, only 4 games. So there's only 4 games that have got to that stage at half time and 0-0. Only 4 out of the 34 have gone over 3.5 goals. So that when we do next year, those of you in the trading and things, when we get into laying, these are the sort of opportunities we will be looking at. You can run it, but so it shows a good profit even at 0-0 for second half goals. I don't normally play them, but we're going to play them today just to give us something to do. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to call the markets up. So let me just stop sharing. Please do feel free to ask questions if I'm losing anybody. I'm losing myself more than anybody. I'm trying to fizz around all these screens. Let's go over there. Get that one over there. Hold on a second. Bear with me. Main FTS. And we would expect these games to have goals. We've got a good model. We've got odds on favourite for over 2.5. We've got home favourites over 2.5. So let's just get that set up. So we want Bodo Glimt. And what I'll do, again, what I tend to do when I do trades like this, I'll grab both markets. So I'm going to grab the 0.5, the 1.5 minimum, absolute minimum to have a look at. But let's just look at Bodo Glimt over 3.5 goals. Yeah, 6.4, and you can see it was 8.5. So if you wanted to lay over 3.5 goals and trade, 2.5 was, let's have a look at that just quickly, 4.25 for over 2.5 goals, and you can lay 2.8. So these are the sort of opportunities you can take. And the other game is Valerenga. Let me just get that. Valerenga. Grab the 0, 1, 2, and 3. Add it in. So Valerenga is 1.87 for over 2.5, 1.8, and Bodo for over 1.5, and Bodo Glimt is 0.5. Bodo Glimt is 109 for a goal. I won't be doing the Bodo Glimt game. Yeah, I'm going to. I was just getting prices up, Ken. Just talking prices. I'm going to talk you right through it now. I was just running through the markets quickly, which is on another screen, which I can't share because it's not linked to this one. So I can only unfortunately share one screen on here. So I'm going to go back to this here now. Just had to get some prices, bear with me. Going to go back to this now. Okay, so the 2 games we're looking at before they kick off, just to get all this there. So the 2 games we're looking at, I'm just going to filter to just those 2. Will make it a lot easier. Bodo Glimt and Valerenga. So we've got those 2 games. They've got to 0-0 at half time. We know they had good models before. We've got 2 home favourites. We've got odds on over 2.5. Bodo Glimt, you can see really low. So I tend to mark the ones that are between 1.5 and 1.99. Bodo Glimt was 1.37 pre-kickoff, so expecting goals. And then we've got our match XGs. So we've got first half XG, full-time XG, 6-game first half XG, full-time XG season model. And I've got that calculation at the end where we have pulled out those numbers and broken it down. And we've still got on the 6-game model, Bodo, who kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters of Norway, 5 goals. If we look at the season game, which is better representation for them, really, because they've had a game recently, I think, where they scored about 6. It's 3.4 still. And Valorenga, more normal. These are the sort of more normal numbers you'd expect to see, 2.72, 1.7. So you'd still be fairly confident that there's going to be goals in the games, be fairly confident there's going to be second half goals by these numbers here. I'm just not a massive fan at playing 0-0s. I'm a great believer in goals beget goals, and I don't like to tie myself to, well, the model says there's going to be goals, there's got to be goals, there's got to be goals, and the longer it's 0-0, you end up getting yourself in trouble. I much prefer to play these games when we've got a score. So if we line up across Norway, we can see if it was 0-0 and we laid a second half goal, we win 12 points laying a second half goal. We lose money backing over 2.5 goals. And just at the end of that there, I've just got prices for, and it's this column here. So for games that have the numbers. So 1.89 is for 2 ahead, 1 point being over 1.5 when it's 0-0. 4.25 would be for over 2.5. As I just said, the market for Valorenga for over 2.5 goals is 3.9. Bodo Glimt is 2.9. So you can lay 2.9 in something that's happening a lot less of the time, and 8.5 for over 3.5. And Valorenga probably is around that. Well, Valorenga's 10, so you wouldn't touch that. Bodo Glimt is 6.8. But what we want to do is just trade on one goal. So if there's one goal, all I will quickly do is just show you how those numbers change as the scores change. So if we put that in where the home team was winning and change it to 1-0, so I've got a half-time score of 1-0 and transfer it. You remember this number, 12.4, 3.23, and click run. I have no idea whether it'll be higher, lower, or whatever. The one thing almost certainly is you will have more games because more games are likely to get to 1-0 than 0-0. I was saying, all this is doing is filtering the sheet quickly. It's nothing that you can't do manually on that sheet. So if you watch the video, that first bit back where I build the columns, apply the filters, this is the sort of time of year that you can set stuff up for yourselves like that, because there's plenty of time. So you can now see in Norway, if it's 1-0, we've now got different numbers. So we've got now 30, actually less games. I thought there'd be more. 30 games, has won 10 points, but the over 2.5, 2 goals in the second half wins 10 points as well. Again, goals beget goals. See, you've got a goal and then you go on and get 2 more, and much different numbers. So back over 2.5, 1.36, back over 3.5, 2.31, because obviously it's 1-0, not 0-0. But you can just do all that stuff by filtering and count ifs. So how would I play that? Right. Well, the Bodo Glimt game, if we just look at that market, it's 109 for another goal. It's 1.51 for over 1.5. It's 2.72 for over 2.5, and it's 5.96 for over 3.5. Given the odds there, given that it was 1.37 pre-kickoff, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole personally. I would just leave that. What I would do with that game is, if it gets to sort of 80 minutes and it's still 0-0, then I may look to play it. I may look to get involved. The Valorenga game, I will trade the over 0.5. And I'm going to trade it on the fact that we have got still on our data sheet, on our halftime score, rolling sheet, sorry, we've got this expected second half goals, even on the season model, 1.74 second half goals, 2.72 on the 6-game model. And I've talked about this on a podcast a long time ago. What I would do with this game is I will, at the minute it's 5.9, 6.2. I would put a lay in now at the 5.9. So I'm going to lay under 0.5 goals at 5.9. I'm going to offer it at that price. I'm actually going to offer 5.8 because I like round numbers. So I'm going to offer 5.8. And the reason I like round numbers, and it's really easy if you do use betting software for this, I'm going to lay at 5.8. But I'm only going to lose a point. So it's one of these now where we're going to see a big red because we're laying at a reasonable number, but I'm going to restrict myself to a 1-point loss by, if I don't get the goal, and it will be around 65 to 70 minutes, if I don't get the second half goal by then, I'm going to close that trade for a 1-point loss. So if I lay £10 at 5.8, I need to back £20 at half the odds. So £20 when it gets to 5.9, and that will in effect just lose me a tenner either side. If you've got software like BetAngel, you would just click it. You can click it. You can put it in advance, but you can just click the green up thing when it gets to £10, and it will close your trade. So that is how I'm going to play this game. So I'm going to put a lay in now, and I'm going to lay under 0.5 goals. And then I've just got to sit there, and I'm going to be willing that I'm only going to give myself that 20-25 minutes for this game to open up and have goals. As I say, I'd normally do it for me. If it wasn't 0-0, I'd do it 1-0, 0-1. If I don't get the goal, and it might then come in 70 minutes, I've lost a point. That's it. If I get the goal, I've won a point. The trade is closed because we're laying under 0.5. If again, it went to like 80, 85 minutes and there was still 0-0, there you go. There's the goal now. It's just gone in. As we're talking, the goal has gone in. Valarenga Strong God said, did anybody lay the 0-0 there? Just while we were talking. No, it's quite a funny experience, this talking to yourself, this software. John, you got it, did you? You got your laid under 0.5, 3 seconds out, not here, no, and there you go. And that's how, so in effect there, if your lay had gone in, it's been chalked off now, so it's going to open up again. Hold on, it's going to open up. It's been chalked off. So we'll rewind all that. And now you need to wait. This is where it's fun now. Now we need to wait for Betfair to sort out what they've just done. You then need them to open the market again. You need to let it settle down. But in effect, do you understand the trade that we're having? While we're waiting for all that to sort itself out and people can get their lays in. And the good thing about that is when they do open it up, you'll be laying at a lower price. That price is obviously going to come down. So if you're not in now, you might be able to get in at 5.1, 5.2, something like that. But the key to it is, and this is where you've got to, I said I'm going to share loads of stuff that I do, and I've done this for years. I go back to people who remember Costas on the site. Me and Costas used to do this a hell of a lot. It's quite a good way to bag it if you're disciplined, but you have to exit. You cannot go, or I'll give it another couple of minutes. You've just got to go. I'm going to take my point loss and move on. So you've got a bit gappy market in the minute, 5.1, 5.9. But if you are going to do this, it's like the guys who do the in-running horses and then the pre-race horses, sorry, then they let it go in play. If you do not exit, you're just packing up. The idea is you win a point or you lose a point. Once you start losing 1.2 points or 1.3 points or letting the thing run so you lose 4 points, then you might as well give the game up. You've got absolutely no chance. But for you guys on your advanced sheet, again, just let that settle. It's sort of settling around 5.5. It's still, see, that's the trouble with these. When they do these dodgy old shit suspensions, close it and then open it again is how long it takes to settle down, particularly when there's not a massive amount of football on. But it's sort of very quick, like the sort of Kevin Kelly method, where you just you close it, you green up, you move on, and that's it. On his home games that I did with Ultimate, you've just got to be really disciplined. In, out, do it. Right, so you can lay 5.6 now. So if anybody wants to get involved, you can lay at 5.6. And then, as I say, if a goal goes in, you win. If you have got BetAngel, you've got that trade profits column in the one-click screen that you can just click that when it gets to, if you laid a tenner, once it says it's -10 on both sides, you can put a bet in at half your stake and wait. A back bet in it, but you can put stop losses on, but you can just sit there now. And in effect, you're going to get 20-25 minutes football now where you don't have to do anything. If a goal goes in, you've won. But you've just got to exit if it's no good. And I wouldn't get involved like that. To do the same at Bodo Glimt, it was about 12. And I'm going to go back to what I said to you a few weeks ago in one of these. I should have actually indexed these myself when what I said and when. You have 2 games there in Norway. Similar-ish figures. All right, Bodo Glimt on the 6-game model is really high because they've had a couple of extraordinary games, but you've got basically 2 games in the same league, same profile, odds on home favourites, odds on over 2.5, great plus on numbers. They've both got to half-time at 0-0. This one was round about 6 to lay, and Bodo Glimt was around 12 to lay. So why have you gone in the one that's 6 here and not the one that's 12? They've both, if there's no goals there, they've both got to get to 101. Over 0.5 goals is going to get to 1,000. Under 0.5 goals is going to get down to 101. So what's going to happen? They've both got the same period of time, bar a couple of discrepancy injury time minutes, but let's say one's got 47 minutes, one's got 48. One's got to go from 12 down to 101. One's got to go from 5 down to 6 down to 101. What happens is the one that's 12, this Bodo Glimt game, it's got to move faster. The market's got to move faster because it's going to be playing this game of catch up because it's got to get to the same end number. And what you'll tend to find if you go in the ones with higher odds, these games normally will give you 67, 68, 69, 70 minutes. So you've got from 45 to 70 if you do this roughly, 67, 70. That's where you've got. In a game like the Bodo Glimt one, you would probably only get to about 61, 62 because it's got to accelerate that bit quicker to get down. It will start doing that earlier and you end up with less time before it's got to its half price because it's going to get to 6 by 61 minutes and then it will go slow, quicker again from there. So I don't do the ones that are really silly odds or high odds because you just don't get the time in the market. But anything round sort of 6, 7, absolutely fine. You go in, if you get your goal, you're done. If you don't, you've lost maximum of 1 point. It's quite a really effective way to trade. And for you guys, you can just manually filter that. It doesn't take long. You just manually filter it on that advanced results sheet. So I would create myself one with, you'd put the 2 XGs on the end if you wanted to, the first half, second half minus the first half, match XG minus the first half XG will give you a second half one. You can put it down. Conditional formatting, watch the video back. I've shown you how to do it. Filter greater than 2, apply the same to the day sheet, and all you've got to do is filter through the scores. So Tottenham Arsenal, it's 2-0. What happens in the Premier League at 2-0? And I've got the games with these yellow cells. Oh, actually, 85% of them have a goal. If it's less than sort of 75%, I wouldn't have a bet. Is that all clear? We will see this one out. Valerenga, Bodo Glimt have scored. Oh no, that's been chalked off as well. And let's just put Andy's put a valuable comment up here. There. What you're saying, Ian, is the same on the horse racing market. An outsider that is running well react very quickly and off less liquidity. And that's exactly right. That's it. It's, that one of the things I've talked about many times, and I mean, Andy, absolute goldmine in the horse racing. You've got to understand your markets. You've got to understand how these markets move. That's why full automation for me is not something that I'm a massive fan of, because you don't learn anything. You're not learning what the markets do, what games to play, what games not to play. Whereas you watch these, if you do these trades, because you've got to physically sit there and go, right, I want to play that game. I've got to put that bet in. I've got to exit. And I'm sure there'll be clever people who can automate some of this, but I like to watch it and go, right, I'll get out there now. I'm going to do that. And I know exactly where I stand, but I'm learning to watch the markets to see how long I get. I can tell you you'll get to 66, 67 minutes. You know that just by doing it. That I've in effect got a quarter of a game of football with these great numbers to get a goal. And as I say, if you pick your games, I wouldn't do 0-0s. I want to really stress that. We've done this one just because, unfortunately, that's how those 2 games ended up at half time. But and in the summer, of course, we got very limited. We're limited to what we got 8-9 games on today. In the summer, when you've got loads of games on, you can sit there and pick your spots. You can get all those XG numbers in the morning sorted out. So those. You might have 12 games where you've got yellow 6-game XG for the second half. I use yellow, use whatever colour you like, but you found that. And then you go from there. Like this, I'm just while we're talking, looking at the Dura Gardens and Hacken game, but the numbers are poor, so I just wouldn't touch them. You just want to play games where we've got good expectancy of goals. So we will give this the 15 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions. Just a note to say, I know this is sort of going to sit up there, and when people watch it back, it won't make anything, but it is the 11th of June. For those of you in Ultimate, or if you're interested in Ultimate, I'm doing another one tomorrow night at 7:30 to run through the 4 of the Ultimate files. So do feel free if you want to come to that. The link is in the Telegram room. I think it may be being emailed out tomorrow as well. But it's just another way. You can really effective way of trading, and as I say, risking 1 point. You're not doing anything other than going, I'm going to get in and get out. But if you're going to do it and not get out, if you can't trust yourself, then don't do this. You've got to be fully disciplined. And if both these games end 0-0, well, unbelievable, Jeff. But what you can do, if you wanted to, didn't mind increasing your risk per game, what I was going to say is, like the Bodo Glint game, I will keep an eye on because that will come down. We'll have a look at that if it's 80-85, because obviously we'll have called up price-wise by then. But what you could do, if you don't get your goal in 67 minutes or whatever it may be, 67, 68, and you exit for that point, well, I didn't do so much of it, but Costas did. Costas liked to lay at the end, so he would go in about 85 minutes and risk another half point in effect to win a point. So he'd lay at 1.5 or lower to get back. Is this the first Ultimate session tomorrow? Have I missed one? No, it's the first one. I did change. I was meant to do one last week, but we've been doing stuff and seeing family and doing bits family-wise and things, so I had to move it, I'm afraid. So no, tomorrow is the first one. I think there's 4. I did send a new email out with them all on, but I think that only went to Ultimate people. I will get that sent out tomorrow to everybody. So basically we're going to do fixed odds, the 4 files tomorrow. We've got plus on 1, ELO 1, ELO, and something else which I can't even remember. Oh, goal methods one. So if you've got your what do you call it, Bet Angel, those you're using, Bet Angel is good for this. If you're going to do it, I would recommend that you get Bet Angel. You can just keep an eye on where your position is in the trade profit screen while it's ticking down, or put a stop loss in at whatever your stake is, £10, and it's done. But it's it's just controlling your swings again. Yes, you're giving yourself less time, but you're, rather than risking 4.85 points and having 2-3 go against you where you lose 10-15 points, you win 1, lose 1, but you'll win more than you lose, provided you stick to solid criteria. Odds on over 2.5, odds on numbers, as I'll repeat numerous times, games with goals in, games that are 1-0, 2-0, 0-2 at half time, 1-1. I've never ever been a fan of 0-0s. I think 0-0s are great to go the other way. Like that lay of over 3.5 at Bodo Glimt, that would be where I would have been going with that game. Lay that and trade out. I mean, what did I say we could lay that? It's about 6, wasn't it? Over 3.5 at Bodo now. 15.5, 21. You can lay that and get out easy. The thing is, there's never a massive amount of money in those markets when they're like that. But these ones, no problemo. All clear? Everybody clear? Everybody happy? Sun baking your brains? Funny old country, we spend all our time moaning about how cold it is, then we get a bit of sun and health alerts on the news and Yeah, I can do a BetAngel session. Darren's asked if I could do a BetAngel session using BetAngel's tips, how you use it with your trading. I can, yeah. I just we'd have to do it without a data sheet. I'd have to have the data sheet over on the other computer and link. That's all. But I can do that. Yeah, we can. If somebody wants if somebody wants to have a BetAngel session, we can include that. Particularly as it's quiet now, might not be a bad idea. So yeah, I'll schedule one of those in. There's a couple more bits I want to show with data first before we get to that. But yeah, I don't mind doing a YouTube session, a BetAngel session for people. I mean, I'm by no means a master. I've just got it set up for how I use it, and I can set up automation. I can go through that. You know, not the levels that some people have, but I can set up basic automation that I want. It is fantastic kit, I have to say. I mean, I've had it a few years now, but I resisted just for lack of knowledge. But it's a fantastic bit of kit. Right, so if you were in at the 5.96-ish sort of level, you're going to be getting to the stage where you would exit. Bodo have now scored. Obviously, if you entered a little bit later after the suspended goal and the market opened, you're going to get a little bit longer. But what we will do another one of these. It's one of the problems with picking the day and session in advance. I actually thought there'd be a load of games in Norway that would have good second half numbers, and we only ended up with 2. So when we get back to full league football, getting leagues like Bundesliga and Italy and that involved, then I'll do a sort of repeat of this session, and we'll do a few more. But I'm going to say you have to exit. Right, it's just suspended. Don't know whether there's been a goal or not. Rather than watch, I know some of you watch on Bet365, I just prefer to put myself through the torture and not knowing what's going on. There's a penalty. So if they score it, then you're a point up. I don't know whether people had. Would you believe it? Literally, and there's a good example there here. So Ken has just gone. There you go. Literally, just read it up. There you go. It will happen. That's the thing. It will happen, and you'll curse your luck, and you'll want to go there. I'll say this: you'll see everything. It will happen. It will sometimes happen within a second. They might miss the pen, whatever. You just got to genuinely take it on the chin and move on. Don't take it personally. It's not against you. This is, again, over thousands and thousands and thousands of entries. Me and Costas used to do this. I'm going back 6-7 years. We used to do it religiously. We'd sit there for hours doing this. We had a different model then because we didn't have these sort of XG numbers. Do I have evidence that a goal was more likely to be scored? Oh, hang on. There's a good question. Hold on a second. It is a goal. Hold on a minute. I'm going to come back to Peter Cole's question here. Just bear with me a second. I'm going to try and answer this because I've got a sheet scored. So there. So those of you are in, you're a point up. Go and lick your lips and move on. Those, unfortunately, who'd read it up. Then hold on a second. Here we go. Years, look at that. See, this is good, Ken. This is all progress. Years ago, you would have let it run, and there will be. I know there's people in this room who will not exit. There's people in here now. Go, yeah, oh, yes, we will. I'm just trying to find a sheet I had, Peter. I might have to revisit this one, but it would be hand up. If you'd asked me that question this morning, I'd have been able to find it. I can't remember where I put it. Just bear with me. It's not it. No, just bear. I'm just looking through some sheets of mine, just see if I can find this sheet. No, I will find it. I've got a sheet with actually breaking down, and the biggest period for goals, other than the sort of 85 onwards, because obviously that takes an extra time, is 45 minutes to 60 minutes. It's the biggest period, but I have got a sheet that proves that, but I can't find it this minute. But I will dig it out, and if I can't find it, I'll create another one. But I have got that somewhere. I just cannot find where I've put it, unfortunately. At this minute, I moved everything around because I was looking at adding some of these tools to the website. I just cannot find exactly which sheet I put it in, but I will find it. But yes, it is. Basically, there's more goals in that period, and then it tends to be the quieter period is sort of the 65 to 75, 80, and then it picks up again. And obviously, if you, depending on how you break your brackets down, but you've got more, I did it by every minute. You've got more goals, obviously 85 onwards, because you, as a percentage, because you've got that extra time. But I will dig that sheet out. I have got it. I just have absolutely no idea which one of my 42 million Dropbox folders I've got it in, but I'll dig it out for you. Right, guys, with that goal, that's it. There's nothing else left. There's nothing for me in Hacken or Diergardens. As always, I hope I will revisit this. I will do another session on this. As I say, I'll have a look. The next one we do, if there's some more games that have got that, we'll revisit it. If not, then we'll wait till the main leagues come back. Almost certainly, pretty much any weekend day, Saturday, Sunday, it's a method you can use. So I will go. But stuff that you can learn of, separating out the XG. Make sure, again, if you're going to do that, you've got strict criteria to enter, and make sure you exit. If you do not exit, you've only got yourself to blame. I will have a look next week at that. I'm going to probably spend the night trying to find this sheet now because Peter's got me going. And I will, as I say, we'll have a look and see these next week. I'll have a look at these fixtures. If there's a good cluster, we'll jump on again and show you another one. All right, guys, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the weather.